Mr Chair.
The Honourable Stephen Joyce.
Mr Chair, just wanted to make a few comments on the matters the member has raised. Firstly, he finished, I think, having a swipe at university morale. My view, and I think you can see it in the universities, is actually they have worked very hard and done well out of government funding over the last few years, despite the global financial crisis. And the reality is that the university sector is probably more positive about their funding than they have been for a significant long time. I can agree with the member on some things in terms of the importance of innovation, and that's something that this government is investing hugely in. In fact, the example he raises of Barkers are just another of the companies that benefits from the R&D co-funding of Callaghan Innovation. And hundreds of companies around New Zealand benefit from that support as a result of this government's work. Where I can't agree with him is this suggestion is that somehow New Zealand is getting less innovative and innovation is being downgraded in the last several years. There is no evidence to support that rhetoric at all, and that rhetoric just does not be. He needs to go across to the field days in the last couple of weeks, where there was amazing innovation on display. And in fact, if you talk about the productivity of the agricultural sector, it is a story of a history of innovation. And if they'd taken the view 100 years ago that he is taking today, which there's no further innovation in the primary sector, then we'd be a lot poorer now, because they have had a trajectory of innovation and productivity improvement over that time. He also raised productivity and said we are a continually low productivity economy. Well, I bring good news for him. Our productivity in the 12 months to March 2013 has improved. It had a 2% in front of it, one of the highest numbers for a significantly long period of time, Mr Chair. So that's very encouraging that we're making good progress in the productivity space as well, because we're very focused on this innovation. And I bring good news to him as well on the ICT sectors and high-tech manufacturing sectors, which are continuing under this government to grow from strength to strength, and now represent something like 8% of our total goods and services exports, which actually has them up to already numbers that are significant alongside some of our primary sector exports. And we have wonderful companies like Xero and like others that are succeeding under this government with the support of alongside them from NZTE and Callaghan Innovation, but also importantly an environment which allows them to be competitive on the world stage with the sort of economic settings that ensure that we have a sensible policy that delivers lower interest rates over the cycle, more opportunities in the skills space and in hiring people and so on. And that's what's occurring under this government. But I also wanted to touch base, if I could briefly, on the national science challenges, Mr Chair, because they're an important part of the government's program, and they're in a range of areas such as the Deep South, high-value nutrition, resilience to nature's challenges, ageing well and a better start. And I was looking down the list earlier and I thought to myself, there's one there, New Zealand's biological heritage. And that's a very topical subject today, Mr Chair, and I can report to the House we've had a very recent additional application in regard to New Zealand's biological heritage, where we've had a proposal from a gentleman to actually reinstate New Zealand's biological heritage in a sort of Jurassic Park model. His intention is to recreate the moa. And look, I think it's a very aspirational target. I think in terms of aspirational targets, that's right. But I say to the member, why stop there? Because if you're going to start bringing back animals and people from the past, why not bring back some people as well? Why not get the DNA of some New Zealanders and perhaps some Labour Party Prime Ministers from the past that have passed away? You could bring them back to life so that there was more talent. This is very important science. More talent, Mr Chair, on the Labour Party benches. I think that would be quite exciting, Mr Chair, and I'm prepared to support that sort of innovation. I know they need it, and I'd be happy to help. So I invite a proposal from the Labour Party in that regard, alongside everything else we're doing in science and innovation.
The question is that vote science and innovation stand part of the schedules. Those of that opinion will say aye. To the contrary, no. The ayes have it. Members, the question now is that vote tertiary education stand part of the schedules. I call Te Aroha Flavel.
Tēnā koe, Mr. Chair, kia ora tātou katoa.